Welcome, Bad Day HQers. Josh here, and this month is Shipwreck Month, and we have 6 big documentaries coming your way. So if this list interests you, keep an eye out on the channel for more content. Today we're delving into the deadliest shipwrecks on record. We dabbled last month with cruise ship disasters, but now we're going full on maritime. Thank you all for your comments and suggestions. If you have any more, please let us know, and your suggestions could be featured in a later video. Number 10. The Empress of Ireland, 24th of May, 1914. The Empress of Ireland was a transatlantic vessel mainly travelling from England to Canada. The ship collided with a Norwegian bulk cargo ship on a day of intense, thick fog, which severely impaired the vision of the captains. The Empress sank into the St. Lawrence River, and 5 of their 45 lifeboats were launched, saving only 465 members on board. The limited lifeboat response was caused by severe listing of the ship. The collision was worsened by freezing conditions and the failure of the ship's watertight doors to hold back the sea. 1,012 passengers died in the accident. Number 9. The RMS Lusitania, 1915. The Lusitania was a passenger ocean vessel in service before the war. In 1914, the Royal Navy had blockaded the Central Powers, and in retaliation, the Kaiser initiated an aggressive U-boat policy on Allied military trade in the Atlantic. Germany claimed that a cargo of munitions made the Lusitania a legitimate target for its U-boats. New evidence is conclusive that the ship was carrying limited munitions. The RMS Lusitania was sunk by German torpedoes, and 1,201 lives were lost. Number 8. The Taiping Steamer, 1949. During the Chinese Civil War in the years after World War II, the Taiping was fleeing at night with refugees from Shanghai. The ship had a capacity of 580 passengers, but was overloaded with at least 1,500 people on board. The ship collided with a heavy cargo vessel and sank near the Zhoushan Islands just off mainland China. The over-encumbered vessel did not use its lights, which led to the death of at least 1,500 people. Number 7. The RMS Titanic. Surprisingly high on this list is the mythological sinking of the Titanic in 1912. The ship was the crown glory of ocean-faring ships in the early 20th century. And of the 2,200 crew and passengers, over 1,500 died. Although the Titanic carried more lifeboats than legally required at the time, there were far from enough seats to save everyone on board. The situation was only made worse by the fact that many passengers did not believe the doomed ship was in great danger, so a number of lifeboats were lowered only partially filled. Number 6. The Techsingh, 1822. A Chinese junk vessel in 1822 was on course for the Dutch colony of Indonesia, carrying a rich cargo of porcelain. Also on board was a large company of 1,600 Chinese immigrants bound for the archipelago. An ill-advised shortcut doomed the ship as it ran aground on an isolated reef and sank 30 meters. Only 200 people managed to stay afloat and survive until a passing ship rescued them the following day. 1,600 crew and passengers died, and the event has been dubbed the Titanic of the East. Number 5. The USS Sultana, 1865. At the end of the American Civil War, the Unionist government paid steamship captains very handsomely to return Union prisoners of war home. The initiative created widespread corruption and severe safety concerns. The SS Sultana's safety regulations were not well adhered to, specifically in maintaining the boiler. The ship was carrying over 2,300 people when the boiler was overloaded, killing hundreds in the explosion. 1,800 people never made it home. Number 4. The Lee Jeweller, 2002. This Senegalese ferry capsized in September 2002 during a very violent storm off the coast of Gambia. The ship was not licensed to sail out that far, and it took less than 5 minutes for the ship to totally sink. There was officially 2,000 passengers on board, but only 64 survived. This disaster left 1,863 people dead, and probably far more in unticketed passengers. Number 3. The SS Kiangya, 1948. During the Chinese Civil War, in the years following the events of World War II, thousands of nationalist Chinese fled when the communist forces took control at Shanghai. The Kiangya was officially carrying over 2,000 refugees, which is almost double its normal capacity, with thousands more piling on before the ship left its harbour. Once the ship had left the Huangpu River, it suddenly exploded, killing 4,000 people. It has been suggested that the explosion was caused by the hull hitting an old World War II mine. Number 2. MV Donna Pass, 1987. The deadliest civilian maritime disaster in history is the destruction of the MV Donna Pass. The vessel was travelling in the Philippines when it collided with a large oil tanker in the Tabla Strait, situated south of Manila. 4,300 people were crowded onto the transport vessel, and at the time of the collision, no lookouts or senior officers were on the bridge. Despite clear visibility and calm seas, neither ship acknowledged each other. It is possible that they lacked functioning radios. The impact ignited 8,800 barrels of crude oil and gas, and both ships were quickly engulfed. Only 26 people were rescued from the water, leaving over 4,400 people dead. Number 1. The MV Wilhelm Gustloff, 1945. The Gustloff was a German military and transport vessel during World War II. Pre-war, it served holidaymakers with cruises in the North Atlantic. However, the Third Reich commissioned it as a hospital ship, and later a floating barracks with troops and aircrafts on board. During the last months of the war, the ship was stationed in Poland when thousands of refugees crowded onto her in hopes of escaping the Soviet counterattack. The ship soon had over 7 times the amount of passengers it was built for, carrying over 10,000 people. Just after 9 p.m, Soviet submarines entered the port and fired 3 torpedoes into the side of the Gustloff. The ship slipped below the Baltic Sea, and the freezing water claimed over 9,000 lives, making it history's deadliest known shipwreck. Thanks for watching. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below, and as always, make sure to like and subscribe to Bad Day HQ.